What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, another Java tutorial. In this video I actually want to cover two different topics. I want to cover what constants are, and I want to cover the difference between declaration versus assignment. So first of all, let's just jump right into it. What are constants? So sometimes in programming we have values that don't change. For example, if you're calculating a lot of things to do with like circles, and you need to have the number pi, 3.14. Well, if we were to create a double and call it pi, and we set it equal to 3.14. Now later in our program, we could change this. We can say pi equals, 6.17 or 5.17, whichever. And if we were to do a quick system out here, we print it off here, and if we were to print it off again down here, you would see, if we run this here, you would see down here that it changes the value of it. Now what if we don't want to change the value of it? Like for example, pi isn't going to change. Pi is always 3.14. It's never anything else. And so what we can do is we can put this keyword in front of the type here, and it's called final. And you can see that as soon as I do that, it says cannot assign a value to final variable pi. And what the final keyword does is it says this is a constant. When I give it a value at first, it will not change from that point on, and your program will not let you change it. Typical convention for this when you're programming is anytime that you have a variable that's final, you do it in all capital letters. So this would become pi like that, versus having lowercase letters, because normally when you have variables, you do what's called camel case, which would be like, if you were to name a variable, hello, my name is Cooper, you would do the first word in all lowercase, and then for every word after that, you would have just the first letter be capital. So hello, my name is Cooper. The other way that you can do it is hello underscore my underscore name is Cooper. Some people do that as well. And there's no actual final rule behind this. It's just that conventionally speaking, this is how people do it. Personally, I prefer this method. I just think it looks cleaner, it looks a little bit nicer, but there's nothing wrong with it. And you technically don't have to do that. You could just do all lowercase letters, and that would be fine. But yeah, so actually, now that I kind of think about it, that's about it for finals, really. It's just anytime that you have a value you don't want to be changed later in your program. Like I said, multi-use for like mathematical stuff, values that will not change. Maybe you set up a table for months of the year, right? And so January is 1, February is 2, March is 3, and so on and so forth. You might want to declare those as finals. So final int, and name this like March, and you set that equal to 3. March will always be 3. It's never going to be anything else. And again, I should really be all caps like that. And so that way later in your program, when you're hundreds of lines down and people see March, when they see it in all caps, they know, oh, that's a final variable. And if you have multiple words, you can do underscores like this. So the month of March that's typically how you would do multiple words when declaring a final. And yeah, I'm actually going to change kind of mid-video here. Sorry about this, guys. I also want to cover comments as well, because I've been using them, and you see them up here, and they're very, very useful. And I've mentioned them very, very slightly, but not really in full detail, so I'm going to go ahead and cover them right now. There's three types of comments. I'm going to cover 2 of them in this video. The other one I'm not really going to cover until we get more into probably Java doc. We'll get to that later. This is called a single line comment. It's when you do 2 backslashes, and you can type anything you want here. And the other type of comment is you do backslash and asterisk, and then if you hit your enter key on your keyboard, it should autocomplete with an asterisk and another underscore, so like the reverse of it. And anything put between here is also going to be a comment. It's called a multi-line comment. And why you would use comments is because comments don't get compiled. They don't actually get rendered, not computer code. And so it's a way for you as a programmer to tell other people, other programmers who might be reading your program, what's going on. When you have bigger programs, a lot of the times the logic can get really complex, it can get kind of confusing, and to somebody who's not working on the project, they don't know your logic all the time, and so when you put that on there, they can read it and understand your logic, and then they're very good to have. You cannot comment enough. Okay, it doesn't change the size of your program, doesn't add anything to it, because these do not get compiled. When you compile your program, let's say you're making a Windows application, you compile into a little executable file, .exe. The comments are not compiled in that file. It does not change the size of it. So go crazy, have as many comments as you want, and and I suppose I'm gonna show you guys a very quick example of the third type of comment. Why not? It's basically you just do backslash and 2 asterisks, just like this, and it sets it up with an asterisk that lines up here, and it ends with the same single asterisk and a backslash, and that's for something called JavaDoc, which I'm gonna make its own video about. Not gonna cover that here. That's worthy of its own video, so just be aware of it, but don't really use that in your code for now. We'll get to it later. So the other thing I wanted to cover is the difference between declaring a variable and assigning it. When you first create a variable, let's say you do int age, okay, and I'm 19 right now. This half over here is declaring the variable. You're saying, hey, set aside enough room in memory to hold an integer, because that's what this int says. I'm going to refer to it as age. That's all this is. This is declaring it. It's saying this exists. Know that it's here. Over here, this setting it equal to 19, that's the assignment. If I were to go down a couple lines and I say, age equals 30, this would be reassigning it. I'm not declaring it here. Age already exists. It's already up here. This is not declaring age again. Declaring it only happens once. It happens when you tell the computer, set aside memory, and I'm going to refer to it as this. That's declaring it. Everything else is assignment. Now, you don't have to do this on one line. I can declare age here, and later I'm going to assign it a value. Declare it here, assign it here. Now, you might be wondering, okay, so what happens if you declare a variable, you never assign it anything, but you print it out? What is its initial value? Let's run a little test and see what it is. Notice right here, variable age might not have been initialized. Initialized and assignment, same thing. So it gives you a little bit of a warning here. So yeah, you can see that it's not, variable age might not have been initialized. So yeah, so that's that. So you got to give it a value first, but you can declare it up here, give it a different value later. That's perfectly okay. Perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So, all right, guys, that about covers it for the constants and declaration versus assignment, as well as comments. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you later.